Hello everyone, myself Monika and I am a legal intern in LEXIS and Company, and today's topic is promissory estoppel. Promissory estoppel is a doctrine in contract law that stops a person from going back on a promise even if a legal contract does not exist. It states that an aggrieved party can recover damages from a promisor if the damages incurred were the result of the promise made by promisor, which the receiver of the promise relied on his promise subsequent detriment. Although a promise must be supported by a legal consideration or a legal agreement to be enforced, the doctrine of promissory estoppel allows the promise to be enforced even though the requirements of a valid contract are not present. Requirements of a promissory estoppel. First, promisor made a significant promise to cause the promisee to act on it. The first element of the promissory estoppel is that the promise made to the promisee was significant enough that a reasonable person would ordinarily rely on it. Second, promisee relied on the promise. The second element is that the promisee must have acted on the promise made by the promisor even though it was not supported by consideration. Third, promisee suffered significant damage by relying on the promise. The third element is that the party relying on the promise suffered an actual detriment in the form of an economic loss. The loss results from the promisor failing to deliver on the promise made at the start of the relationship. In simple terms, the promisee is an worse position for having acted on and relied on the promise. Fourth, fulfillment of the promise is the only way the promisee can compensate it. The fourth element is that the promise becomes enforceable if the court determines that the only way the injustice committed to the promisee can be avoided is by enforcing the promise. However, the court has discretion in choosing what to do, and in such a case, ideally, it will take an action that relieves the promisee of the detriment suffered. And with that, I would like to wind up my topic. And if you guys are having any doubts, you can ask me in the comments. Thank you.